Evan Williams.
This is Luke Weaver.
Bo Bichette here. You're listening to the home of New York Mets baseball.
WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
Michael K. is on the radio today, and he ain't afraid to say what he's thinking. It's the Michael K. Show on 880 ESPN Radio.
No Michael K.
No Michael K.
Jake Asbit sitting in for Michael, taking you until 3 p.m. today. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having an outstanding Thursday. It is June 25th, 2026, and the New York Mets are an absolute disgrace, and that's being kind. We got a lot to talk about with this baseball team. This might be one of the last times, I think, you hear hosts around this station or wherever you consume your sports media content, you hear people actually give you a fiery rant about the Mets. Because that wasn't rock bottom. What happened yesterday, I don't know what is. We're at a point now with the New York Mets where the apathy stage will start to set in. And believe me, as a fan of the Jets, and for a long time, a fan of the Knicks, before they obviously turned it around, world champs, baby, thank the Lord. You hit that stage where it's the anger and then it subsides to just, I don't care. And I think we're getting pretty close if we're not there already from a Mets standpoint. We'll get to the Yankees as they continue to find a way to grind out wins. Their best player has found the fountain of youth, Paul Goldschmidt, owning Skubal last night for 2 home runs. Dominguez coming through. Feeling good about the Yankees for the Yankee fans out there. But, I mean, just watching the Mets yesterday, it has gotten to a point where you question how it got this bad. Like, it's one thing to be bad, but the Mets are bad in spectacular ways where it's like hard to fathom how bad they are, if that actually makes sense. I mean, the manager last night called the second game they lost to the Cubs embarrassing. I'm shocked he's still employed. How Steve Cohen could watch his baseball team and not want to do something is mind-boggling to me. The issue is if David Stearns telling him don't fire him because then it puts a target on me, well, then maybe Steve Cohen will eventually see through that. But they allowed Dansby Swanson. I thought this was not real because, full disclosure, I didn't see the game 2 nights ago. I didn't see the first game yesterday. When they said Dansby Swanson had 15 RBIs through the first 3 games of this series, because, again, they play later, I thought that was a mistake coming out of the mouth of Gary Cohen listening to the game last night. I mean, it's like it's hard to fathom. He tied Kiki Kuehler for the most in a series in Cubs history. The great Kiki Kuehler had 15 RBIs in August of 1932 against the Giants. I mean, you can't make it up. 11 RBIs in the doubleheader yesterday alone. He's the 9-hitter. He was hitting 180-something going into the games against the Mets. Obviously, the errors speak for themselves. 6 of them, all 4 of the infielders having at least 1. Marcus Semien had 2, but it's all about run prevention. I mean, it was the most errors in a Major League Baseball game since April 1st of 2019. It's the most the Mets have had in the game in over a decade, since 2014 when they had 6 against the Marlins in September of that year. They are an absolute mess. And I wonder what Juan Soto's thinking, right? He's obviously out of the lineup dealing with the back injury. We'll see if he has to go on the injured list. What is Soto thinking when he sees this team be this bad? He is in year 2 of his 15-year deal. He's having a phenomenal season, and his team is going to miss the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row. And I get it, he got his money, but he would have got his money from the Yankees as well. The Yankees still put forth a $700+ million offer on the table. He's got to be regretting it, no? But great, he's got more suites for his friends and family. You couldn't even give those away for free right now. It's actually a cruel and unusual punishment to tell someone they got to go watch the Mets. It's a joke. The fan base deserves better, and the best thing to happen to the Mets the last month and change has been the New York Knicks run. But now that the Knicks are done, and we're focused on the baseball teams in this town, the Mets are going to get what they deserve, which is being destroyed by their fans and anyone in media who has a job and is calling it how it needs to be called, which is with brutal honesty that the guy who put this team together, David Stearns, you could argue should be fired. That's how bad he has been. Again, I don't enjoy calling for anyone's job, but he's making a lot of money. He'll be okay. If Steve Cohen wanted to fire David Stearns, he is justified. Don't tell me, oh, well, he's only a couple of years in on the job and you can't just keep firing people. Why? If you don't have the right people, don't compound the mistake. What's the argument for keeping David Stearns at this point? Where are the David Stern defenders? Do those exist anymore? Because I dealt with a lot of them on this very station when I said not bringing back Pete Alonso was moronic. Trading Nimmo for Marcus Semien was moronic. Jorge Polanco at first base, a position he's never played, for run prevention, though, was moronic. I hated everything the Mets did in the offseason. Everything. And you could check the tapes because they exist. It never made sense to take a team that at one point a year ago actually had the best record in the sport and then just collapsed because they had no pitching and the GM added no legit starters at the deadline last year to then say, well, let's blow the whole thing up. At some point, we need to stop pretending that this is all part of some genius long-term plan and that the Mets are this like small market rebuild. They have Steve Cohen as their owner. They have a fan base that listened to the owner and bought tickets in droves and showed up and supported the team. They had momentum. They had a core. David Stearns has spent 3 years trying to remake the team in his image, and instead of building off what he already had, which was a team that went to Game 6 of the National League Championship Series, he tore it all down and made it dramatically worse, where they can't even make the playoffs in a league where if you win 83 games, you could get into the playoffs. And their payroll is $350 million. Let's remember, David Stearns took over a team in 2024 that wasn't hopeless, wasn't awful. They had good players. And to his credit, he made some smart deals in season that year. And the Mets went all the way to Game 6 of the NLCS, losing to the eventual champion Dodgers. So instead of making major moves, because he wants to build the roster his way, he does some patchwork job trying to make some subtle changes. You can't even say, give him credit for Soto. That's all ownership. That is all Steve Cohen. So you add Soto to this team, and what do you do after you get Soto? You basically did nothing else. You basically were bullied by the owner and Met fans into bringing Pete Alonso back on a one-year deal. The offense was not the problem a year ago for the Mets. The problem was starting pitching. The rotation completely fell apart. At the deadline, the team needed pitching last year. Stearns added 0 starting pitchers. He went all in on relievers who stunk and a washed-up center fielder. That was the big deadline last year by David Stearns. They missed the playoffs by 1 game. And then we all knew what the Met problem was, their rotation. So what was the move? What were the moves for the Mets to fix their starting rotation? Well, let's talk about what they did first. You tell me if any of these moves fixed their starting rotation, which was the reason why the Mets missed the playoffs last year. You let Pete Alonso go. Edwin Diaz walks. You trade Brandon Nimmo and Jeff McNeil. Every move he made, the guys he brought in are hurt, stink, free agent after the season won't be here, or it's a combination of all 3 of those. He replaced real production for guys who have injury histories and have not proven they could play the positions they were being asked to play. But we can't pay Pete Alonso, who's only on pace to have 40 home runs and another 100 runs batted in this year, and has got like an 850 OPS. Shout out to the Met fans at the game yesterday, because this is how you could use your voice if you do have to watch this god-awful product. I love the Met fans chanting Pete Alonso as, ironically, Devin Williams is on the mound getting lit up. I just love it. Love it. Epic troll job. That is how you use your voice if you are a Met fan. There is 0 reason this lineup could not have had Alonso, Nimmo, and you still could have signed Bichette while also investing in real starting pitching when your owner is Steve Cohen, who's the richest owner in professional sports. It didn't need to be we trade for Freddie Peralta, which has been a brilliant stroke of genius by boy genius David Stearns. I mean, again, I'm not even a Met fan, and this irks me. Because the Mets did not need to gut their team. Oh, the core hasn't won anything. The core, Yeah, because the core didn't have starting pitching last year. Do we need to make it black or white? It's either keep the core or blow up the whole core. Can we have the happy medium? We improve the starting pitching. We maybe keep Alonso and Nimmo, who are durable and play every day and can handle New York. There's an adjustment when you come to this town. It took Bo Bichette a while to finally start hitting. Now it's too late. They did not need to turn this roster into like a mad scientist experiment and operate like they're a small market team trying to find deals along the margins. And Michael always brings this up, and he's spot on. Why did they blow up their coaching staff? Jeremy Hefner is a qualified, proven pitching coach. Ask the Atlanta Braves. You don't keep him? Richardson, the base coach, who turned Juan Soto into, Ricky Henderson last year. You couldn't keep him over money when your team is owned by the richest owner in sports? The ego of Stearns needs to be checked because these are ego-driven moves. It's like, we don't need you our way or the highway. That's why these guys aren't here. Tell me otherwise. And Mendoza's going to be made the scapegoat of all this, but so should Stearns. They're both responsible for this, but I put it way more on the architect of the team than I do the manager, who in his first year at the job had this team in the NLCS in Game 6 against the eventual champions. And Stearns gets protected by some. Too many people in this town, the media I'm specifically referencing here, give him the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because he speaks every homestand? Because he's smart? He grew up a Met fan? He's not good. He's done a terrible job. And I'm sorry, when you look at how good the Milwaukee Brewers have been since David Stearns left, shouldn't that be a red flag for Steve Cohen, Owen, the team being like, wait a second, I waited for this guy. I needed this guy. And the team that he, quote-unquote, built is just as good without him? They lose their manager as well. He goes to the Cubs, a division rival, and they're just as good without him? At some point, when does Steve Cohen wake up? When does he address the fans? This team stinks. Like, they are awful in every aspect of being a professional baseball team. It is pathetic. This team's going to lose 100 games. That's how they play. I just, mind-boggling to me that there are still some who are saying, well, David Stearns needs more time. No. If Steve Cohen wanted to fire him, he'd be justified. It is that bad. It is that pathetic what the Met fan has had to watch, if they're even still watching at this point. They did not need to gut their lineup. They did not need to alienate the great fan base they have. They did not need to turn this roster into a mad scientist experiment. They needed to run back the lineup last year that scored runs, keep their core together, and add some starting pitching. I mean, congrats to David Peterson on escaping the Mets. Watch him, be unbelievable now for the Cubs. Again, the entire thing, I feel like could have been preventable. But nope, David Stearns, boy genius, had to go into GM mode, like his MLB The Show. Let me wheel and deal. Oh, let me play guys out of position because I'm so smart. David Stearns inherited a good baseball team. He was gifted Juan Soto by an owner who could pay him more than anyone in the sport. He had a fan base that was ready to be all in. And instead of building on that team or acknowledging why the team last year failed and missed the playoffs by a game, he tried to do it his way, and where has that gotten the Mets? As one of the biggest jokes in the sport, they are a bigger embarrassment than the Red Sox, and they're an embarrassment. But the Mets is just a different level of suck. It's an epic proportion level of suck. And again, I think this is rock bottom. This is the rant you're going to get from me and other people talking about them. And then I think what will happen is apathy sets in, and no one's going to care. No one's going to care. Thank God for the Knicks. 800-919-3776.
No, Michael K.
Jake Asman in for Michael K. Joba Chamberlain's going to join me at 1:30. We'll talk some Yankees with Joba, one of my favorite Yankees growing up. He watches every game. He's plugged into the team. Get his thoughts on the Yankees who picked up a big win. And then in the second hour, 2:30, Ian Begley, who is as plugged in as any Knick and net reporter you'll find, will recap the draft and where we're at with the Mitchell Robinson and the Landry Shamet situation. Will the Knicks truly try and stay below the second apron? 800-919-3776. I want to give the Mets broadcast credit because this is why Met fans marvel at them. This was Gary and Keith during the first game yesterday, marveling at PCA's speed as the Cubs were pouring it on the Mets yesterday.
Wow. Well, not only fast, but cuts the base perfectly. I think one of the worst trades in a long while by the Mets.
Well, they got 6 good weeks out of Javi Baez, and now they've got to watch this guy be a star.
The best part of that is the whoopee from Gary there. Whoopee. And then more from Gary. Here's Gary Cohen talking about the Mets' legendary Gold Glove defense last night.
I mean, what do you say at this point? I mean, this team is in the depths of despair. Can't get starting pitching to hold the other team at bay. Struggling with their offense. And now the defense falls apart. 6 infield errors. Unprecedented.
I'm going to use a Michael K-ism. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? More from Gary Cohen.
It's a great place to be. Don't jump.
Oh.
I mean, my God.
This is the kind of game that causes reevaluations.
Yeah.
You can profess all you want about being confident in the team you have, but this has been nothing short of ugly.
Joke, and I sincerely feel bad for the Met fan because they got hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, as Stephen A. Smith once said about Kristaps Porzingis being drafted by the Knicks. They were sold a bill of goods that David Stearns knows more about baseball than anyone ever. He actually invented the sport. You just didn't know it. He invented a new way to do it, and this team is a disaster. This is one of the biggest disasters in the history of New York sports. Seriously. The expectations for the Mets, where they were after going to the NLCS in 2024, adding Juan Soto, who has been nothing short of outstanding. If you look at the numbers since he's been a Met, you can get on him for not having big moments or clutch home runs. But you know what? The numbers are there. He's had a great year this year when he's been out there. And they're going to miss the playoffs for the second year in a row with this payroll, with an owner who has an unlimited budget. And they were cheap or ego got in the way and prevented them from keeping Edwin Diaz, prevented them from keeping their pitching coach Hefner, their base stealing coach Richardson. All this stuff matters. It's embarrassing, man. It really is. 800-919-3776. We'll get to your calls coming up. On the Yankees, thank God for Paul Goldschmidt, right? I remember when the Yankees re-signed Paul Goldschmidt. I loved it. And there was some pushback saying, why? Just move on. He's going to take away at-bats from Ben Rice. And it's like people forget in the offseason that Giancarlo Stanton is missing half the year every year. And Aaron Judge, as great as he is, he had been remarkably healthy the last couple of years. We were due for a year, especially as Aaron Judge turns 34 and next year will be 35. We were due for a year where he's going to miss some time. And we'll see if they eventually make him a full-time DH or give him some opportunities at first base. But I remember when the Yankees brought back Goldschmidt, I loved it, and I got some pushback, actually filling in for Michael Kay in the winter when that happened, for that take. And you look back on it, thank God. Now, did I expect him to be this good? Did I expect him to be hitting 2 home runs off Tarik Skubal and helping the Yankees win a big game last night? No, but thank God they had a real plan for some of these injuries. The Yankee depth is being really tested this year, and give Brian Cashman, who has been much maligned at times, a lot of credit because the depth has been a big piece. And bringing back Goldschmidt, he apparently took less money to be here because he enjoyed his experience so much. That's a big reason why the Yankees are in the spot they're in, where I think they're the best team in the American League. My eyes tell me that. The run differential tells me that. I think you look at where the Yankees are at without Fried, without Stanton, without Judge still till probably late August. How could you not be excited about the possibilities of what this team could be, assuming they get those guys back and they're still aggressive at the deadline to fix some of the areas of need, a.k.a. the bullpen. But you look at the run differential in the American League. The Yankees are plus 113. No other American League team is even plus 10. Seattle's plus 8. They're 41-40. The Rays, who have come back down to earth after a really, really hot start that I didn't fully buy into, they're 44-33. So the Yankees are starting to put some distance between them and Tampa, and they're doing this without some of their best players. And again, they're going to have slip-ups. They lost the series over the weekend to the Reds. They lost that first game to Detroit. But this team is good, man. Shout out to Fernando Cruz, one of the unsung heroes of this team. Obviously, Ben Rice is giving you an all-star season. He should start at first over Vlad Guerrero in the all-star game. Schlittler should start the all-star game. He's the favorite to win the American League Cy Young. But again, Paul Goldschmidt owns Skubal, but he's been great this year. He's hitting 300. He's got a 933 OPS. He's 38 years old. He's the oldest active position player in the league. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame. The amount of respect and reverence I have for Paul Goldschmidt is off the charts. He's been a big piece of all this. This was Goldie talking about his success against Skubal.
I have no idea. I mean, obviously he's one of the best pitchers in the game, and, facing him is a tough challenge. So I just try to get in there and compete. And, fortunately I was able to get a couple balls I was able to get out of there and some hits in the past as well. But there's not really a recipe to try to beat him. He's got 4 really good pitches. He competes as good as anyone. As you saw, he got me that third at bat, and try to get in there and compete, and hopefully good things happen.
Freddie Freeman, Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Ellie De La Cruz, Rafael Devers, Bobby Witt Jr., Bo Bichette, Alex Bregman, Trey Turner, Kyle Tucker, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr. Joe Leo, do you know what all those baseball players have in common?
Have they all not hit a home run against Tarik Skubal?
They all have less home runs than Paul Goldschmidt has this year. Goldie is the man.
Combined, you're saying?
Yeah, I wish. The man. The absolute man. Here's Boone on Goldschmidt.
Look, he's just Hall of Fame player, unbelievable hitter in his career. He's in amazing shape, incredibly prepared, and I think he just enjoys the game as much as you possibly can. So, add all those things up, and it's given him a chance to be successful.
And the Yankees have done a really nice job just finding ways to win, stay afloat. The American League is not very good. That's the dirty little secret. And the Yankees are in a spot where they're what the Knicks were. The regular season doesn't matter. And that's been the case for the Yankees long before it became apparent for the Knicks. But there were a lot of questions with the Knicks as well, as we all know, going into the playoffs when they were down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. But this has got to be the year the Yankees are all in, and they are as aggressive as you need to be to fill any holes you'll have when we get to the deadline to just go for it. Because who scares you in the American League? And the best case scenario for the Yankees, as we've seen in the Aaron Boone era, is when they are the favorites to win the series, they do. When they have home field advantage in the series, they do. They've won one series in the Aaron Boone era where they started on the road. And you know what that was? The COVID year against I think they were the Guardians at that point. They might have still been the Indians. And that was the COVID year. So there wasn't even a true, home field advantage for Cleveland. They need home field, which means you got to win the division, and they need the bye. And look, 2 years ago, the American League was weak, and the Yankees took advantage and got to the World Series. That's the expectation again for this team. Stay healthy, which requires some luck. Get guys who are injured back, which is key. But this team is in a good spot. How could you not feel pretty good about the current state of the New York Yankees? Especially when you look across town, you realize that as much crap as we Yankee fans, and I throw myself in there, have given Brian Cashman at times, you recognize there is a value to being good in the regular season every year and having a chance. The Mets have no chance, and they have an owner richer than anyone because their general manager is a buffoon. At least the Yankees have a guy who has mastered the ability to put together a team that gives you a chance every year. That's not the end goal, and at some point when you've gone 17 years without a title, there does need to be some accountability from the manager or the front office, etc. But I must admit, as someone who's been critical of Brian Cashman at times as a huge Yankee fan, you look across town at the dysfunction, the embarrassment that is the Mets, and Brian Cashman deserves some credit, without a doubt, because this team is in the mix every single year, and that's not nothing. 800-919-3776. Joba Chamberlain is going to be joining us coming up. But let's squeeze in a call or two before we hit our first break. Manny in Flushing started off. You're on the Michael K. Show with Jake Asman in for Michael. Manny going once.
Hello?
Hey, Manny.
Yes, I'm here. Yes. How's it going?
What's up, Manny?
How's it going? Yes, look, let me get this out the way. I mean, thank God that I'm a Knick, Yankee, and Giants fan because, I can't even imagine being a Met fan right now. I can't even imagine being a Met fan right now.
It's as bad as it gets. Hopefully, to all the Met fans out there, you're Knick fans. I know some aren't. There are Met fans and Jet fans if you're for all the teams with Ets in the name. But the Knicks provided the ultimate cover for the Mets, but that cover is now gone. When you go out there and you embarrass yourself the way the Mets did yesterday, allowing the number 9 hitter in the Cubs lineup, hitting 180 going into the series. They have 15 runs batted in over 3 games. I mean, that is as bad as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, what's disappointing is like, how do you be the highest payroll team in baseball, and you're gonna have 2 straight losers? You're gonna have a losing season in the process. I mean, they probably the worst team in MLB since last June.
You're right. I mean, you go back to the day, ironically, of the DNR tailgate when Kodai Senga got hurt that day to where the Mets are now. That's when it all fell apart. And now they're going to put Senga in the bullpen. I mean, what's that going to do? He's just the human white flag, really, in a pitcher form. It's as bad as it's been, honestly. Because in the past, it was easy just to blame the Wilpons. That was always the crux for every Met fan's blame. You blame the Wilpons. Team's not good. You can blame the manager and the GM, but it all starts with ownership. That would be what the Met fan would say. And they weren't wrong. The Wilpons were bad owners. But you have a guy now where the biggest obstacle the Met fan thought was the payroll. You have a guy where that doesn't matter. You signed the best player to ever hit free agency, arguably, to a $700 million contract, and he's delivered. He's been really good. And every other move that the president of baseball operations has made, that the owner waited 2 years to fully hire, has been an abject disaster. Clay Holmes was a good move. That's about it. Unfortunately, he got hurt. It's bad. And again, the Knicks provided cover for this team, but that cover is gone. And the way this team is, I'm telling you, the apathy is going to start to set in. No one is going to be at these games. And the ones who do continue to chant Pete Alonso, because that is an all-time troll chant by the New York sports fan at that game last night. 800-919-3776. We'll continue the baseball conversation on the other side. Joba Chamberlain, Joba Rules, coming on with me. Talk all things Yankees and MLB. Keep it right here. Jake Asman in for Michael K. till 3 here on 880 ESPN New York.
Want to earn extra revenue for your business? Amazon Hub Delivery is looking for local business owners to assist with deliveries. When you become a partner, you and your staff will deliver packages to customers in your area on a schedule that works for you. With each package delivered, you'll gain extra revenue and exposure for your business. Plus, Amazon Hub Delivery makes it easy to get started. There's no upfront cost, delivery experience, or long-term contracts required. Sign up to learn more at Amazon.com/Hub Delivery. That's Amazon.com/HUB Delivery.
At PC Richard & Son, we don't just sell you a mattress. Our experts use a 4-step fitting process to make sure your new bed fits you perfectly. During our July 4th sale, save up to $600 on mattresses, plus get up to $300 towards another same-day purchase. The right fit, the right price, plus free delivery. It's kind of our thing. PC Richard & Son, serving America's homes for generations. Free delivery on mattresses $399 and up, excludes Manhattan.
On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel Super Sub, if your player is subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started now. All through this tournament, the betting options on FanDuel bring you straight onto the pitch. Who will score the first goal? How many shots will each team have during the match? It's all right there in the app. And with same-game parlays, you have a chance for bigger payouts. And best of all, with FanDuel, you get paid instantly when you win. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Caught with a gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
You matter, and so does your well-being. If you're facing tough moments, struggling with anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, or substance use, help is here anytime you need it. Call, text, or chat 988 for free confidential support. New Jersey's 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here 24/7 for you or someone you love, with trained counselors who listen and care without judgment. You matter. Remember New Jersey's 988. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
At City Harvest, we believe no New Yorker has to go go hungry. With your help, we're on the road 365 days a year, rescuing over 77 million pounds of nutritious food and delivering it free to millions of New Yorkers, transforming surplus food into sustenance, sustainability, and smiles, rallying thousands of New Yorkers to power a network of nourishment across our city. One day, one meal, and one New Yorker at a time. That's how we feed good. Donate at cityharvest.org.
Rich Eisen here. Running a small business means every hire matters. A bad hire costs time and money, but the right one helps your business grow. The challenge? Finding that person without sorting through resumes. That's where LinkedIn Hiring Pro comes in. It screens candidates so you can focus on conversations with qualified talent. With Hiring Pro, you can hire with confidence and build the team you need. Join the 2.7 million small businesses using LinkedIn to hire. Get started by posting your job for free at linkedin.com/Eisen. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
Soccer fans join Bart Scott and Chris Carlin today for a watch party presented by Rothenberg Pilsner. Watch the match between Germany and Ecuador at the Hoboken Beer Garden in Hoboken, New Jersey, starting at 4 p.m. Enjoy Pilsner perfection since 1872. From the first German Pilsner, come out, grab a cold Rothenberger, and join the international soccer energy with ESPN New York. That's Bart Scott and Chris Carlin live at the Hoboken Beer Garden today. Brought to you by Rothenberg Pilsner. Talking all things Yankees, and we say hello to a guy that I grew up watching, had the shirt that said Joba Rules on it. Former Yankee pitcher Joba Chamberlain stops by here on ESPN New York. Joba, Jake Asman with you. Great to see you a few months ago during the Knick playoff run. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for always making me feel old.
My producer, Joe Joba, he also had a Joba Rules shirt as well, so not trying to make you feel too old, but you were the man, so we thank you for all you did for the Pinstripes.
Of course.
So, looking at the current Yankee team, how have they been able to find ways to scratch across wins with all the injuries? To Judge, Stanton, Max Fried, just your thoughts on how they've been able to do it?
I think it's everybody picking up the slack. Obviously, you've seen, everybody come in and play their role. I think an unsung hero that's going to be talked about at the end of the year is Goldie and the things that he's doing. Obviously, 2 homers off of Skubal, and his answer is perfect. That's Paul Goldschmidt, right? How do you keep dominating? He's like, I have no idea. And sometimes you just don't. And I think just everybody understanding, what their role is and what they need to do. Obviously, there were some Yankee fans that were pressing the panic button when, things got off to a slow start. But, the 12-8 in June with 7 to go before the break, and you're 3 games up in the East. Anybody at this point would be like, all right, we'll take that with all the injuries and then with what we have coming back. So I think with just everybody just stepping up in certain ways and just finding ways to win. They haven't been all pretty, let's be honest. And as a Yankees fan, we don't care. As long as they get the win, sometimes we're still going to complain even though they got the win. But they're 3 games up, with 7 to go to the break. And, we'll kind of see, how these injuries play themselves out when they come back, if they're going to rush them back. But going into it, if you're 3 games up right now compared to what it could have been with all the injuries, I think everybody would take that at this point.
When a bunch of guys go down, including Aaron Judge, the captain, best player in the game, you could argue, when things like that happen, is there a conversation in the clubhouse with the guys, hey, we all got to step up? Is it just assumed? Like, take us inside what the clubhouse is like as the Yankees know they're going to be without their best player till maybe late August.
I don't think it's never a conversation because the value of what he is to the team, and there's no replacing him. That's just the long and short of it, right? But everybody knows they've got to pick up the pieces a little bit in some way. Also, in the same breath, not try and do too much and be somebody that you're not, and just stay the course of who you are. But no, you're going to have to step up in certain situations. So I don't necessarily think it's ever a conversation. It's kind of more of a known factor of like, all right, we got to pick up some pieces. We can't replace him, but let's try to pick up the little pieces that he does to make our team great. And obviously him just being around is a huge part as well. So that helps with, just the leadership value of what he brings. But it's an internal conversation as competitors as everyone is, no matter if you play baseball or anything. You find that internal piece of where can I step up and where can I make a bigger difference than maybe to be expected. And I think there's a lot of guys that kind of look in the mirror and be like, okay, let me step up and try and do some things and be better, because I know I can be, because we have to pick up the slack with Judgy being out.
2009 World Series champion Joba Chamberlain with us here on the Michael K. Show. Jake Asman in for Michael till 3. I was excited to ask you about this player on the Yankees, because when you first got called up, you were that young phenom in New York as a pitcher, so you know what it's like. When you watch Cam Schlittler do what he's already been able to do now, what stands out, what makes him so great, and do you think what he's doing is sustainable for the long term?
He's fun to watch. It's one of those, we all as baseball fans, you have those ones where it's like, okay, if this person's pitching, we're turning the TV on. We're going to make sure we watch this. And, he's one of those guys for me. His demeanor, his composure, the way he goes about. I mean, I wish I had his stuff, honestly. I mean, it's just crazy that they come out of the same arm slot and they all go different directions. And, be able to repeat his delivery, to stay composed in some huge situations he's already been thrown in. And then the one thing that I don't think he gets enough credit for is his backhanded comments on social media. They are fantastic, and I love them. And that just goes to who he is. And I think that's part of why I love him. But just his mound presence and the way he just controls a game. And, for a young kid, there's a lot of times where the game gets sped up and they can't slow it down. He does a great job of holding that in the reins and being able to slow the game down himself and not let it get too fast. And just the way he just goes about it and, walks off, you never know if he gave up 8 runs or he just punched out the side. And I think that is just who he is. There's a lot of guys that aren't like that, but he knows who he is. He understands what makes him successful, and we've seen it. And is it sustainable? I believe so, but there's no such thing as predicting what somebody's arm health is going to be. It's just you can't do it. Hopefully he stays healthy as long as he can and doesn't spend much time. Is it inevitable that you're going to get there sometime? Yeah, but the way he's going, and I think with the guys that he has in his ear and the understanding of what preparation and getting ready for starts goes into and how important it is, I think he's in a great spot to be successful for a very long time.
Perfect segue talking about arm injuries, because, of course, Garrett Cole is now back. Had his first rough start the other day, but he's been pretty good since he's made his return. When you watch Cole, what has stood out so far, seeing him in post-Tommy John form?
It's always weird because you don't know what to expect. You do the work and you do everything, and you don't try and change what got you there, but sometimes there is a little bit of adjustments. I don't think, other than, maybe him going over his head a little bit, just a more rhythm thing for him. But you're always trying new stuff. Like this may just came to fruition, or he may have tried it 5 years ago. We don't know, but he looks the same. And sometimes we try to fix because it got broke, right? But sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We just got it repaired. We don't have to recreate the wheel and what he does. And I think just his mental strength is beyond belief, and just, how much he believes in himself and in what he needs to do to get people out. And, you're going to have rough ones, and people are going to point to, oh, he just came off Tommy John, whatever. But, he's had rough ones in his career when he was healthy. But I think it's just having the same look and the same feel of how he went in before Tommy John. And, Tommy John now is not the end all that makes all. I mean, it used to be that whole word. You're like, oh crap, this is done and over with now. But you see it all the time, and it's just one of those things where if you do the work and you do the rehab and make sure you don't miss a day and get back, you can have, plenty of years after it. And I think the biggest thing for me is just seeing how everything it's stayed pretty much the same, and he hasn't really lost a beat.
Joba Chamberlain, our guest here at ESPN New York. Jake Asman sitting in for Michael K. till 3 today. You're probably the best guy to have this conversation with for my next question. So the Yankees are converting Carlos Legrand to a reliever, so he hopefully can help them in the back half of the season out of the pen. He obviously throws well over 100 miles per hour. Sound familiar? Just your thoughts on his transition. What would be the biggest piece of advice you'd give to him trying to go from starter to reliever in the middle of the season?
Jake, I was wondering how long it's going to take you to ask me this question. No, and it was presented to me earlier in the year on a couple other shows. And the one thing that I can say is obviously in the situation is bringing him up and switching him into what it is. And it's probably a new role from him. I don't know him, so I don't know if he's ever pitched in the bullpen before. But the one thing that I can say and I can speak of is they need to understand and have a decision, no matter what he does, good or bad in the pen, is what do you see him and his future as? Because you can't have him go back and forth. You just can't. And people can hate me for it. The Yankees can hate me for it. I don't care. I was treated that way. I can speak on it. They have to have a direction for him. So not only physically can he prepare, but mentally know, like, hey, I did this in the pen. This is where they see me now. Okay, let me change my mental state. Okay, hey, we wanted you for the end. We wanted to limit your innings, but you are starting from here on out. There has to be the direction. There can't be, hey, we want you to start here, but we're going to keep your innings down. No, there has to be a direction for him one way or the other.
If you could go back and try and redo something from your career with the Yankees, Joba, would you have been more vocal in saying either make me a starter or a reliever, don't move me back and forth?
Yeah, but I didn't have a leg to stand on at that point. What position was I in to say anything? It's the fastest anybody's ever done it in Yankee history. And my dream was to play in the big leagues. And obviously with an organization as the Yankees are, what leg did I have to stand on? They didn't know if it was going to be sustainable. They didn't know what was going to happen. But nothing could be sustainable if you go back and forth your entire career. And if you're going to let me start every fifth day. What'd they let Phil Hughes do after I failed? He had almost a 5 ERA and started every fifth day and had almost a 5. I never had that. But they let him start every fifth day. They never let me do that for a year.
Do you think when...
So yeah, just to answer your question, yes. But if I was 5 years in the big leagues, then yeah, I have a little bit of validity to stand on. But when I've got a couple months in the big leagues, I really don't have a leg to stand on at that point.
Right. Well, when you think back to your career, obviously you get called up and you were a part of that, the run down the stretch at 2007. And then if I remember correctly, 2008 was when they started kind of messing with you as a starter and a reliever. Do you think if you just stayed as a reliever your entire career trajectory would have been different? Just your thoughts on what you ultimately would have been better at and the type of pitcher you would have been.
I don't know that answer. Obviously, it shaped itself out towards the end of my career, but it went through 2009. 2009, I started in the bullpen in spring training, made 28 or 29 starts, and then I went to the bullpen in the playoffs. So it didn't just start and stop in 2008. It continued to 2009, and then it was kind of from then on. It was what it came to be. But you don't know. That's always a great what if question. That's always the great argument of everybody is, what if he would have stayed a reliever? What if he would have stayed a starter? I mean, I started throughout the minor leagues and did what I did as a starter and did what I did in the bullpen, but we don't really truly genuinely know the start of my career. If I had stayed in one direction, what would have happened? It's always a great what if question. Would he have been better as a reliever? Would he have been better as a starter? I don't honestly have that answer. And would I change it for the world? No, because I get to have these questions. And when young kids that are kind of in this situation, I'm only a phone call away. And I'm going to speak my mind. That's just who I am. And I don't care if some people like it. I don't care if they don't. But I can speak on it better than a lot of people and know the feeling of not being able to say anything. So if you don't say anything, I'll be able to speak up for you and have that. So I'm thankful for every opportunity, good, bad, and indifferent. I've had great years. I've had terrible years. I understand that. But just to be in the opportunity to have the experience of being put in these situations on a baseball field at the highest level is something I can never repay or say what if, because I was there doing it, and it was a dream as a kid that I got to fulfill, and I can't complain about any of it.
And you're forever going to be a world champion. So since we brought up 2009, the Knicks, of course, had their big ticker tape parade last week. It was the first championship for a team I root for in this town since your Yankees in 2009. Take us back to the parade back in 2009. What do you remember about it? What stands out 17 years later?
Well, watching it on TV, the Knicks ones lasted a lot longer than ours did, so I didn't know if that thing was ever going to end. No, it's just the craziness that ensues in that short little route, and how many people are packed in, and people on signs and top of trucks, and just, I mean, the craziness that ensues. And if I remember right, the last time the Knicks won a championship, I believe the Yankees won too. So let's hope that follows suit. But just for a city that loves sports and is just dedicated to what the tradition of the Knicks and everything is, like it's cool seeing it, and being able to have that moment and those feelings that you can't describe, and having everybody right there. I mean, I can only imagine being Mitchell Robinson driving his big old truck in by himself and then doing all that. Like, just those experiences, right? You can't describe them because you don't know what they're going to be like when you get there. I mean, my son was throwing toilet paper back in the crowd, so it's something I'll never forget. Like, he didn't know what was going on. He was just on this little float thingy, and here comes this toilet paper coming in, so he just decides to throw it back. But yeah, just the craziness of just everything. But it's like organized chaos, and how like it's cleaned up in like less than an hour, and everybody's just back. And I would like to have seen the percentage of people that actually went to work that day. That would have been interesting. But just the experience, and just everybody knowing the support and the love that they have for you guys winning, and the hard work paying off. It ends up being a long few days. I can promise you that, though.
So you got a key to the city, right?
Oh, better believe I do.
So you have to explain this to me. What exactly does that do? Can you just go into any restaurant or bar at any hour with a key to the city? Like, what exactly does the key to the city do for you, Joba?
Hey, I'm 17 years in. I still would know the answer to that one, too. I'm trying to figure out what if I get any perks with that. But, yeah, it's cool to say. I think it's something where, do you get into a special door? Is there something that I missed when I was younger that they didn't tell me about? I don't know. I think it's just something cool to go in the office and say you did something great for a city.
You got to get some like free food or something, like some like specific restaurants that are key to the city sponsored venues or something. I mean, my God.
Yeah, there's got to be something. Maybe I just missed that when I was young. Maybe I was just too locked into actually winning. I mean, I was 23 at the time, so there was a lot of other things that were more important than a key to the city, I think, at that point.
I'm sure. Hopefully the Yankees get another one this year for the first time since your team in 2009. I appreciate you hopping on. Great insight as always. I know you're locked in watching every Yankee game like us diehards are. So thanks as always for your time. It was great to see you a few weeks back.
Yes, sir. We'll see you soon.
Joba Chamberlain, former New York Yankee pitcher, reliever, with us there. Good insight on the bullpen stuff with LeGrande especially. Pick a role and stick there. And you can understand why Joba feels the way he certainly does. Good stuff from him. We'll take a quick break. Get to more of your calls. Jake Asman in for Michael K. 800-919-3776 is the number. On X, Instagram, YouTube, you can find me at Jake Asman if you want to weigh in there. Quick break, and we're back with more right here on 880 ESPN New York.
Hey, New York, are you okay to drive? No, really. Did you know just one drink can lower your inhibitions, slow reaction times, and reduce coordination? That single drink causes your judgment to be altered and makes it harder to track moving objects. The risk you take by getting behind the wheel is not worth your life or anyone else's. Call a cab.
Hey, I'm looking for a cab.
A ride share, a sober friend, or take public transit. The New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee is reminding you to always drive sober.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world has noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins AeroBurst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of AeroBurst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Hey, Yankees fans, come out to Yankee Stadium on Monday, July 20th, when the Yankees host the Pittsburgh Pirates, and be ready to receive a traditional Yankees giveaway. It's Yankees T-shirt night, presented by Sato. The first 15,000 guests will receive a Yankees T-shirt. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com/tickets. Again, don't miss the Yankees and Pirates for Yankees T-shirt night presented by Sato on Monday, July 20th. Visit Yankees.com/tickets today.
Rich Eisen here with some advice. If high-interest credit card debt is grinding you down, it might be time to call an audible with a SoFi personal loan. It consolidates your debt into one low monthly payment with no fees required. And with as soon as the same-day funding, you can make the right play fast. Call an audible on your debt today at SoFi.com/debtplay. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891. Fast funds terms apply at SoFi.com/debtplay.
In a world parched for excitement, one drink will emerge. Twisted Tea, the refreshing thrill ride of flavor. Recreating its classic role as the hard iced tea that goes down smooth. Twisted Tea doesn't just taste like real iced tea, it's made with real brewed tea and a 5% kick of alcohol. Taste the adventure with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Soccer fans, join Bart and Carlin today for a watch party presented by Rothenberg Pilsner. Watch the match between Germany and Ecuador at the Hoboken Beer Garden in Hoboken, New Jersey, starting at 4 p.m. Enjoy Pilsner perfection since 1872 from the first German Pilsner. Come out, grab a cold Rothenberger, and join the energy with ESPN New York. That's Bart and Carlin live at the Hoboken Beer Garden today. Brought to you by Rothenberg Pilsner.
The ESPN New York Beach Bash is back Thursday, July 2nd at Bar A in Lake Como, New Jersey. Head down to the Jersey Shore and join the Michael K. Show and Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg live starting at 1 p.m. with appearances by DiPietro Rothenberg, Bart Carlin, and more. We'll have plenty of giveaways for fans in attendance, a soccer watch party, and the chance to test your skills by trying to kick a soccer goal past Rick DiPietro, plus music from Surfing for Daisy, who will be playing an hour before and after the shows. It's all brought to you by Spiked Aid, Boost Mobile, Miller Lite, Fanatics Fest NYC, and New Jersey Lottery. You must be at least 21 years of age to enter. Fresh off a performance yesterday where he made 2 of the Mets' 6 errors, Marcus Semien is headed to the injured list. Marcus Semien to the IL with a left hip flexor strain. Fantastic. Ronnie Mauricio is back with the Mets as the corresponding move to Marcus Semien landing on the IL. David Stearns, ladies and gentlemen. Marcus Semien, who had been on the decline the last several years, you had to bring him in and trade Brandon Nimmo. Oh, because Nimmo's contract, so many years left on it, as if that matters for a team that's in win-now mode and has the richest owner in sports. You had to get rid of the Nimmo contract so you could take on a worse player just because he has 2 fewer years left on his awful Albatross contract. This is good news for the Mets. They're not going to miss Marcus Semien's .214 batting average, 29 RBIs, his .613 OPS. What a brutal move that was. And you knew it at the time. Anyone who tried to tell you this was going to work out is just in denial. Here are the final words, maybe ever, from Marcus Semien. This was him last night talking about the 2 errors he made in the field.
It's attention to detail. It's always going to be attention to detail with defense. First step was not great on the first one. It seems like when I'm trying to pick the ball up and rush, the throws haven't been good. So that happened again today. It's frustrating because I feel like it's a play I could have saved, got the out, and I didn't. And those ones hurt. Pop up, same thing, kind of just drifted to the ball. Wind was a little a little funky out there and just took my eye off the ball and plays I want to make and plays I want to make tomorrow to help us win.
The wind was a little funky out there. Gary Cohen, what are your thoughts?
I mean, what do you say at this point? I mean, this team is in the depths of despair. Can't get starting pitching to hold the other team at bay. Struggling with their offense. And now the defense falls apart. 6 infield errors. Unprecedented.
The depths of despair is where the Mets find themselves.
This team is in the depths of despair.
I mean, a couple of years ago, the rock bottom line by Gary Cohen was used as like the rallying
Nobody
cry.
in the ballpark. 1-5. Hitless through 7. Feels like rock bottom.
They were 0-5 at the time. This is June 25th. Farewell, Marcus Semien. The Met fan will not miss you. I don't know how long he'll be out, but doesn't matter. Ronnie Mauricio is back, so you have that to look forward to, I suppose. Unreal. 800-919-3776. More of your calls. Let's say hello to Javier in Queens, who's first up this segment with Jake Asman. Hello, Javier.
Hey, Jake. How's it going? Thanks for taking the call. Shout out to Harvey, the station's hard man over there. Shout out to the great Harvey. Who else is there with you besides Harvey?
The great Joe Leo is with the great Harvey.
Oh, man. Stonewall Joe Leo. Because if we were on the pitch, Harvey would be the ESPN radio team's hard man, and Joe Leo would clearly be the goalie. These guys are the structure of a good defense on a good pitch. So listen, in honor of the World Cup, I was at the watch party yesterday at Arthur Ashe, which is at the Tennis Center, and it's right across from Citi Field. And I mention this because during the doubleheader yesterday, I was there at 3:00. You could feel the negative energy from Citi Field all the way across the 7 line. Like you could feel the despair. It's pretty sad. And like as a Yankee fan, it's really disappointing to see how bad the Mets and the Red Sox are in June. You know, I'm the kind of fan where I like to see my rivals do good all the way until the point of the end and then lose at the end. I don't like it's crazy how much they are both spending, and this is what they give their fan bases, and they both have very good fan bases.
Well, here's the thing, though. The Red Sox,
Yeah.
Javier, and I'll let you finish. The Red Sox didn't even spend. They let Bregman go. They didn't add any real power to their lineup to make up for his lack of production. The Mets, this was by choice, the team they put together. Like, it's not like Steve Cohen put a budget on David Stearns and said, no, you can't bring back Pete Alonso. No, you can't sign these players. This was by choice. The Red Sox just went cheap, and that's why their fans are upset at ownership. The Mets, just state of dysfunction and just lifelessness. This was by choice by the general manager who made these moves.
He stinks. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not fun. I'm sure for some Yankees fans, they love to watch these organizations get their teeth kicked in before it's even July. But I like to see them succeed a little bit. I like to see them fail in the playoffs more so than I like to see them fail in the regular season. With the Knicks, what I want to point out is you look to see what's going around the league, right? The deals that have been made so far, none of them jump out to me that I think they are amazing deals or they're putting anyone over the top. I don't think Miami's going to be doing anything special with Giannis. I really don't think Minnesota's going to do anything special with Ball. So it's like, as a long-time Knicks fan, it is amazing to watch the whole league kind of scramble around like rats on a sinking ship trying to figure out how to beat the Knicks, and the Knicks are just sitting pretty there, the top cheese of the league. Leon Rose looking like a genius. Personally, I think it's a good time to move off of Mitch, especially if you could do a sign and trade and get something for him, just because I think you got everything you could out of this guy. He was a second-round pick. You babied him all year long. And he still broke his finger before the finals, which we still don't know why that happened. But, I think it's a good time to move off of that. And then the other move I would throw out there that I told the show before, I think DeMar DeRozan could slide in for Jordan Clarkson and do an even better job than him, and maybe even cheaper. So I think that's where the Knicks need to work. They need to get some guys that want to sacrifice salary and run it back. And the Knicks are the only team with the shot to go back-to-back, so let's do it. Let's go, Knicks. Mets stink. I can't wait for the fall for the Knicks to come back. Let's go.
Javier, appreciate it. I'll talk more about the Knicks in the next hour. I think the big thing you got to figure out with the Knicks, are they going to go into the second apron or are they going to stay under it? If they're willing to go into it, I'm trying to keep this team together. Because I'm not concerned about not having flexibility to make other moves. I want to keep this core intact. I want to bring back Mitch if I can. If someone's going to offer him $20 million a year, see you later. But if I could get Mitch back, within reason, I want to do it. I think he matters. I think he's really important. And I would like to bring Shamet back, but I think Shamet is more replaceable than Mitch would be. I don't know if DeMar DeRozan wants to take a minimum deal to be a Knick, like what Jordan Clarkson did. He got bought out, so he was already being paid by Utah to not play for them. That's how the Knicks were able to get Jordan Clarkson for nothing. I'd have to look into what DeMar DeRozan's situation is. We'll talk more about the Knicks moves in the next hour. Ian Begley is going to be joining me. We'll get into what the Knicks and the Nets did, for that matter, in the draft. We'll talk more baseball as well. Jake Asman in for Michael K. We're coming right back. It's 880 ESPN New York.
ESPN New York, now streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe today and watch the show. WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
I'll adopt a cat.
Just a cat, Sean? This is a New York lottery win we're talking about.
I'd get the ultra-rare, hairless cat known as the Minskin.
Then?
I'd turn my garage into a rescue menagerie for all furless felines.
And when that gets too full?
I'll purchase land in the Catskills for them to sunbathe in hairless abandon.
Only cats?
All hair-free animals looking to roam in bald, beautiful peace.
Can I come?
Do you have hair?
New York Lottery. Can you imagine? Play today. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Big events are bringing more riders across the region. So if you're taking New Jersey Transit for everyday trips, plan ahead. Check schedules, allow extra time, and consider traveling outside of peak hours when you can. New Jersey Transit is running additional service to help keep everyone moving. But a little planning goes a long way. Stay aware, be courteous, and ride smart. New Jersey Transit, keeping your day on track. Plan your trip at njtransit.com.
Hi, I'm Greg Richard from PC Richard & Son, wishing you a happy and safe 4th of July. As we celebrate our country's birthday, we salute the servicemen and women that protect our freedoms. The entire PC Richard & Son family thanks you.
Monkey Sports, built by players for players, is your one-stop shop for hockey, baseball, lacrosse, and more. Find top-name equipment and expert in-store services like sharpening, break-ins, and relacing. Shop in-store at Monkey Sports in Farmingdale or Woodbridge, or online for all the top brands. Whatever your sports, Monkey Sports gets you game ready fast. Monkey Sports, where athletes shop.
Progressive presents ways to save money that aren't bundling your home and auto insurance with Progressive.
I can't believe the deal we got on these seats for the game.
Wow, they must be pretty high up here. I think my ears just popped.
Yeah, here, put this on.
Is that an oxygen mask?
An official team oxygen mask.
Well, I can kind of see the field.
Good, your senses are still sharp. You're going to need them for phase 2 of the ascent.
Don't save money by sitting in the nosebleeds. You could save hundreds by switching to Progressive. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
In a contracting business, you're either growing or you're grinding. Success is no longer about hard work alone. It's about using AI to accelerate impact. ServiceTitan is the only integrated intelligence that seamlessly automates your entire workflow, from first call to final invoice. Born in the trades, built for visionaries ready to stop operating and start automating. ServiceTitan, AI for the trades.
No Michael K.
No Michael K.
Jake Asman in for Michael, taking you till Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg at the top of the hour. 3 o'clock, the guys will come on. We are with you until then. A lot of baseball in the opening hour. We'll still certainly talk a little baseball. So the U.S. World Cup team is in action tonight, but based on my research here and talking with the esteemed Joe Leo and Harvey Cruz during the break, it sounds like this game doesn't really mean anything. They're playing Turkey, but the U.S. has already won their group, Group D, and they're going to face a third-place team from Groups B, E, F, I, or J. Turkey has already been eliminated as last place in the group because they lost to Australia and Paraguay. U.S. beat both those teams. So what's the reason to watch this tonight at 10 p.m.? Is Christian Pulisic, who grew up a big Jet fan, Is he the reason why I'm supposed to watch to see his return from the calf injury to see how he looks? Harvey, you're the soccer guy. Tell me.
Well, I mean, he's a reason to watch. I think the only reason to really watch is because it's the best sport in the world, and B, it's just the fact that for the first time ever, I believe, the U.S. can win out their group for the first time ever. And look, they're basically nailed on to play Bosnia and Herzegovina in the round of 32. So really, you only lose if you lose any players for that match.
So shouldn't we rest Pulisic unless he's absolutely 100%? Maybe you just let him get some like live game action, and then you pull him and say, "Hey, man, we need to keep you healthy for the round of 32."
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. You could just rest him, but then he'd be out. He wouldn't have any game time under his legs for about like 2 weeks, which is not really ideal.
So how long would you play him, assuming he's actually telling the truth and he's healthy?
20, 25 minutes.
You just let him start the game, essentially.
You can have him start the game, but then it'd be weird to it'd just be weird to then pull him in the first half. I'd probably start him in the second half, get some action under his legs, and then maybe during the hydration break, which is not fun, or just during the 75th minute, you can pull him.
You're anti-hydration, Harvey Cruz?
Oh, I hate it. It's the worst.
Wow, you want these guys to dehydrate on the field? You monster.
They're not dehydrating it at all. I know what you're trying to say, but they're playing in indoor arenas for the most part.
It sounds like you want guys to be dehydrated.
No, I think there's enough hydration in their bodies to
We have hydration breaks as talk show hosts. It's called the commercial break. What do you think I'm doing during the commercial break? I'm gulping down some water.
Any ice in that water?
No ice. There's ice in my veins, though, baby. Oh, yeah.
Don't you feel like you get more without the ice?
It depends on the type of drink. Sometimes you need the ice. All right, who wants to drink lukewarm water?
Sometimes I think you need the ice. Even if you're in Antarctica, you need the ice.
I don't know about that.
Well, you got ice in your veins or not? You got to keep it that way.
No? Oh, I definitely got the ice in my veins. Well, that was Talking Soccer, brought to you by insert sponsor, because I am not a soccer fan, but I do know Christian Pulisic is a Jet fan, so he's like the one U.S. player I followed. I haven't paid close attention to U.S. soccer since the days of Landon Donovan and Tim Howard and Clint Dempsey. Like, I was into the 2010 World Cup.
There's a guy in here with a Josie Altidore number 17 jersey, navy blue.
Love Josie Altidore.
Love him.
I remember Ian Dark's call back when ESPN used to have the World Cup. Goal, USA. Oh, Donovan's done it. One of the great soccer calls ever, if I do say so myself. And by one of the great, I think it is, but I wouldn't know. I don't watch.
It's arguably the greatest call in U.S. history, other than the shot heard around the world by Paul Caligiuri in 1990, which we all remember.
Of course. I was negative 5 years old then. Nothing like it.
Same.
800-919-3776. Since we're going down memory lane, I was going to do this later in the show, but a little throwback Thursday for you here on the Michael K. Show. I take you back to this day, 26 years ago.
The first pick in the 2000 NHL entry draft belongs to the New York Islanders.
With much anticipation, hope, and excitement, the New York Islanders are picking Rick DiPietro, a goaltender from Boston University, as the number one pick.
18-year-old Rick DiPietro from Winthrop, Massachusetts, who opted into this draft at the 11th hour, goes right to the top.
Happy anniversary to Rick. Rick's on vacation this week, but I texted him happy anniversary earlier. So.
Did you know that he is as mature then as he is now?
You could argue that. Shout out to Rick DiPietro for signing a young Jake Asman's hockey puck at Iceworks in Syosset on Long Island way back in the day. Probably was 10 years old. So that had to have been 20 years ago at least. Could have been even younger. I don't remember when. But shout out to Rick. I mean, obviously, Rick's career was marred by injuries, but when he played, he was great. There's a reason why he went number one. And, if you're a true Islander fan, I think you always have an appreciation for Rick because he wanted to be an Islander, which at that time, a lot of people didn't. The arena wasn't great. Practice facility wasn't great. So much has changed since John Ledecky and his ownership crew took over. Scott Malkin, they have UBS, which is amazing. Their facility in Wantagh, Long Island's great, but so much of it back in the day was not like that. And Rick was one of the guys who wanted to be an Islander. And he obviously signed that massive contract because he believed in the team and wanted to be here. And injuries obviously marred his career as an Islander. But I would say this, Rick is probably as good of a talk show host as he was an NHL number one pick. Rick's great. Shout out to Rick. I'm in for Rick and Dave Friday next week, I think July 3rd. And Michael K calls him yummy, so you have that as well.
No, Michael K!
Here's what you know about Leon Rose. He will only talk to the media or to podcast hosts, who happen to be two of his best players, if the Knicks win a title. So the only time we heard from Leon Rose the last couple of years was when the Knicks advanced to the finals and when the Knicks won the finals. He spoke at the podium, and then we heard from him at the parade. But yesterday, he fulfilled his promise to Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart that he'd appear on their roommates podcast if the Knicks won the title. And we did get some interesting comments from the architect of the 2026 NBA champions. This was Leon Rose being asked by Josh Hart on the decision behind firing Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Tibbs is a great coach, did so much for the organization. We were right on the doorstep and, just felt that just needed a change in voice, a change in, philosophy. Mm-hmm. It was a tough move. And, Mike, was a guy that really fit what we were looking for. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's somebody that, I've known a long time. I mean, I represented LeBron when he coached him in Cleveland. Knew him and, kind of followed him through his career. Didn't know him that well, but he always was a guy that, was a good guy that you could talk to and, really felt good about. That was just your gut. But then you go through the process and you're looking for certain things. And we had a real, we had built out a criteria, of certain things that were very important. We do research. We brought in, I think it was 5 candidates and, really graded them in the different areas and things like that, made the decision that we made.
And ultimately, it's a decision that will go down as one of the best in Knick history. Best in New York sports history, and I was not for it. Hand up. I thought Tom Thibodeau deserved another year. I thought it was too risky for the Knicks coming off their first appearance in the conference finals to pull the plug on Tibbs. But you know what? The Knicks, Leon Rose, Jim Dolan, they get the last laugh because they were right. That's how this works. They'd be destroyed if they lost to the Hawks or they came up short in any of the playoff rounds prior to the finals. Mike Brown was the right guy at the right time, just like Joe Torre was the right guy for the Yankees in '96. Steve Kerr was the right guy for the Warriors. And you go down the line, that's kind of what Tibbs now is. He's Buck Showalter to Joe Torre. He's Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr. The answer's simple why they did it. The Knicks believe Tibbs helped rebuild the franchise, but to get them further, they needed someone like Mike Brown. And one of the interesting things in the interview was Leon Rose talked specifically about the last 2 years prior to this one where they lost to Indiana in the playoffs, in part because he felt his team was worn down with injuries and they didn't have the depth to be able to compete with the waves of guys Indiana and Rick Carlisle as the coach of that team could throw at you. The Pacers helped shape the Knicks roster, the Knicks thinking, their philosophy. And I think part of the decision was maybe Leon didn't trust that Tom Thibodeau, even if he had a better bench, would actually play it. Because one of the things you could defend Tibbs on, play the bench. His bench was not nearly as good his last year with the Knicks as the bench that Mike Brown had in his first year as the coach of the team. But would Tibbs have played the bench and played that many guys like Mike Brown did? Like Mike Brown going to Jose Alvarado in the fourth quarter of the greatest comeback in NBA history. I don't think Tibbs makes that move. I think he maybe goes to Alvarado, if at all, and then he takes the spark, and then he goes back to the guys that got him there. And I don't think the Knicks win that night without Jose Alvarado's contributions and just giving the Knicks a different ball handler to help Brunson spearhead that comeback with OG Anunoby, finishing it with the tip-in. Like, Rose viewed him as a necessary playoff piece because of what the Knicks had learned in the failures against Indiana the 2 prior years. The Pacers' pressure wore the Knicks down in the playoffs, and they adapted from that. The front office realized they needed pressure relief, more ball handling, and more ways to survive playoff intensity. And ultimately, the move worked. So I love Tom Thibodeau. I think the Knicks should give him a ring. He's a forever part of Knick history. You can't tell the story of the 2025-2026 Knicks without Tibbs. But ultimately, Leon Rose looks like a genius. And that's how it's ultimately going to be viewed as, no matter what happens the rest of the way. This is, again, a championship that will last forever. Here's more from Leon Rose. The other big criticism of Leon Rose since he's taken over has been the Mikal Bridges trade. 5 first-round picks for a guy who's never made the All-Star team. Here's Leon Rose talking about that deal.
Maybe you got the flack, but it was every time Kale, made a bad play, it was the picks.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and believe me, that bothered the heck out of me because it had nothing to do with Mikal. Right. It was the price I was willing to pay, or we were willing to pay, in order to get that deal done because of how important we thought it was to get that piece to solidify this group. We also had the issue of losing Hartenstein, and that's what led to, the trade, which was right before the season. After that, we had a little roster imbalance, but I felt like what Mikal was bringing, was going to be an essential piece moving forward for us to be able to do this.
I mean, the debate's over. The Knicks won a championship. It's over. We could criticize it. Oh, they overpaid. Sure, they overpaid. But you know what? If you felt Mikal Bridges was the difference in having a team that can win it all or not, you make the deal every time. The Knicks made the deal and they won. Rose said he hates that Bridges received the backlash for a deal he made. But ultimately, he knew Mikal Bridges, the player, the character, and he felt like he had to do it. The cost was heavy, but again, Mikal Bridges has had uneven regular seasons his first 2 years with the Knicks. Nobody cares. He was huge in the Boston Celtics series win 2 years ago, or a season ago, however you want to word it, when they got to the conference finals. And he had moments during the playoffs this year where without his defense, without some of his shot making, they don't win a championship. He was a huge part of it. And it also was cool just to hear how sold Leon Rose was on Jalen Brunson before anybody else. He had total conviction in Jalen, and he understood that he was going to get killed for clearing cap space and maneuvering to try and find a way to bring Brunson in. But when he basically had the mic drop line, I've known him since birth. I knew he was built for New York. Has there ever been a take that is more spot on? Like, again, this is Leon Rose's victory lap, and it's well-deserved. Because Jalen Brunson was a franchise-altering bet. None of this happens without that. All the other moves were important in building a championship team. You can't be a champion in basketball without a 1A player, a dude. Right, Becky Hammond? She believed in Brunson. Psych. But the point is, you needed that guy, and they got that guy. And he's an immortal in New York sports forever. Like, one Knick championship is a lot more impactful than any of the 2 that Kevin Durant won on a stacked team with the Warriors, for example. Like, the Knick championship for Brunson is like how that championship that Dirk won with the Mavs will age. How special that was for his legacy. But it was interesting to hear from Leon Rose because you just don't hear from the guy that much. And as far as what the Knicks have done in the draft, it does feel like their goal is to still remain below the second apron. We'll talk with Ian Begley, who's been all over this, coming up at 2:30, get his thoughts on where things stand with the Knicks' moves in the draft. But, I mean, can I just say this before I even talk about what the Knicks did in the draft? And I understand we air it on ESPN and all that. It is a brutal television product. And I'm not blaming ESPN for it. The NBA, I don't know what they could do, but they made this event 2 days. So the second round last night, of all the players picked by teams, only one player picked actually got picked by a team that had their own draft pick in the second round. You don't even know who's picking. They're wearing the wrong hats. This team's making a pick, but then it says in like tiny print next to it, it's actually this team as reported. It is so convoluted, so difficult to follow. It is not a fun watch. And I'm not blaming ESPN. The production is great. It's just, it is a mess. It is an absolute mess when you try and follow along what's happening. I mean, I put together a spreadsheet to try and figure out what the Knicks did here. All right, so they traded down initially from 24 to 25. Then they traded down from 25 to 30. Then they traded down from 30 to 47. Then they traded down from 31 to 39. They ended up with wing Tyler Nickel at 47. And before that, how could I forget pick 39 in my convoluted spreadsheet here? They added guard Jack Kyle. So those were the two moves. And in the process, they acquired the overseas rights to Mel Ajinka. And they also acquired a 2029 Kings second, a 2029 Suns second, a 2030 Sixers second, a 2032 Mavs second, and a 2033 Suns second.
Yes, no, really?
Should we start previewing what the Knicks will do with the 2033 Suns second-round pick? Anyone have any thoughts on that?
You're unbelievable.
Is that player in grade school right now, if we did the math? 2033 Suns second rounder. That is the deepest pick that the Knicks acquired in this draft over the last couple days, where Leon Rose was basically wheeling and dealing to keep the number lower for any player they would draft. And we'll see if they actually stash any of the players that they did pick. Doesn't sound like Nickel will be stashed, but maybe Jack Kyle, although he said he intends to play. That's more of a question for Ian Begley. But this, like, again, it's a very tough product to watch. One player last night was picked by the team with their actual pick in the second round. Not great. But ultimately, I think what the Knicks' strategy is to stay under the second apron, and I can't quite figure out why James Dolan, who's been willing to fire guys and pay them to not work for his team, and has been willing to give out big contracts or spend big money on the facility, why they're so insistent on staying out of the second apron when, yeah, it's not ideal to go into it, but really the only major penalties are if you're in it for 3 times out of 4 years. You can go into it and then leave it. We saw the Celtics do that. So can the Knicks still put together a really good team if they wanted to stay below the second apron? Absolutely, but I think it's tough to expect to keep Mitch or Landry Shamet, for that matter, or Jordan Clarkson. Now, bringing back Diawara, maybe they're like, look, we want a bigger role for him. So that's why we're not going to bring back Shamet. We think Diawara could fill that role. But it'll be fascinating to see what the philosophy is for the Knicks. And it's a weird feeling as a fan of the Knicks to really not care a whole lot what the other teams around the league are doing. Isn't that weird? Like, Giannis goes to the Heat, and I'm like, all right, Knicks are still better. Now, Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they have like devil magic that they work with, so they'll probably find some guys for the minimum that end up being awesome. But I'll worry about that when the Knicks play them again. They have no shooting. They have no bench depth. They're basically capped out. It's going to be tough for Pat Riley to get that third star if that's his plan, like he did in 2010 with LeBron, Bosh, and D. Wade. It's going to be tough for him to get that player to go with Bam and Giannis. I still think the Knicks are the prohibitive favorites again coming out of the East. And I love how the odds have the Celtics in front of the New York Knicks. That makes no sense. With a disgruntled Jaylen Brown, Brian Windhorst, he said on Sportsmanlike, he thinks that Jaylen Brown's still going to be traded by Boston.
He's going to get traded. Obviously, they offered him very strongly, to the Bucks. The Brad Stevens came out and said many, many wonderful things about him and respectful and all that stuff. He never said he wasn't trading him, which he obviously could have done. And he met with Jaylen before this happened, and he didn't meet with him to say, hey, are you summering in Greece? Are you summering? Are you going to try the Mediterranean? Like, he obviously told him that they're seriously there's a chance they're going to trade him. Jaylen Brown is 29 years old, coming off his best season, under contract for 3 years. Those are things that you like. It's not a guarantee that they're going to be able to find a deal that they like that's going to improve the team, but I think they are intending to trade him.
It sounds like they're going to trade him. Now, what team is going to get Jaylen Brown? I think if you're a Knicks fan, you hope the team that gets Jaylen Brown is not in the Eastern Conference. What team needs Jaylen Brown? Can I throw the Nets out there as a team? Would the Celtics want to do a total reset, get a bunch of picks, and then maybe they look at it like, we're already paying Tatum with the new CBA. Maybe it makes more sense for us to have more flexibility with our roster to add depth like what the Knicks have built, basically. You could thank Jalen Brunson for taking $113 million less than he could have to put this team together. But maybe that's the thought process. But from a Brooklyn Nets standpoint, you have all these picks. The GM's been here forever. Jaylen Brown wants his own team, seemingly. He's probably like, wait a second, why am I the one being traded? I was the Finals MVP. I was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Tatum's the one who got hurt, and I still took a team of ragdolls to the second seed in the conference. Why am I the one being dealt? Now, I think Tatum's better than Brown, but I think that's how maybe Brown is thinking about it from an ego standpoint, right? He's an NBA superstar. These guys all have egos. If I'm the Nets, I'd call the Celtics about Jaylen Brown. And this might actually be a net Celtic trade that could age well for both sides for once. Joe Leo, you're the only Net fan I know that works at this radio station. Would you be open for the Nets calling about Jaylen Brown using their war chest of assets?
I would, but I think that time has passed. I think that was a draft night trade that would include the 6th overall pick. The Nets don't have their pick next year, so it would have to be even further down the road. So I just, as much as I would like it, I don't think it's in the cards. Plus, Sean Marks, he's not making a trade like that. Sorry.
Have you what's the word I'm looking for here? Have you accepted the Nets going with Brown over Akuf?
I have accepted Mikal Brown Jr. over Darius Akuf.
Akuf. Why do I say Akuf like he's like
French? I don't know.
French or something. I got Wemby on my mind, I guess, still.
Darius Akuf's going to be a superstar in this league and probably lead the league in scoring at one point. Mikal Brown Jr. can score, and that's what the Nets do need.
Do we know, though? We always do the overreaction of these draft picks, and like half these guys are going to be big busts anyway.
Did you watch the NCAA tournament last year?
I did. That's the only time I watched college basketball at this point.
Do you remember how awesome Darius Akuf Jr. was against the best of the best in the NCAA tournament?
He was, and he's a Calipari coach guy. But
and how do Calipari coach guys usually do in the NBA?
How's Kevin Knox?
We all have exceptions.
I'm just saying.
How's Devin Booker? How's Karl Anthony Towns, NBA champion?
It's not an automatic that he's going to be awesome, though.
How's Derrick Rose before his knees betrayed him?
That was a Memphis guy, but sure, that was still
It's still a Calipari guy.
He might be awesome. I just think you can't go crazy yet. What if Brown is also awesome?
Brown, the only thing that gives me pause is he missed time with a back issue. And the Nets medical staff, while good, is not the greatest in the league. So, yeah, sure, Mikal Brown Jr. could average 25 and play 40 games a year, and then he's the Giancarlo Stanton of the Nets. Like, I would have just gone with the guy who I know can play and has a higher floor right now than Mikal Brown Jr.
What is the hope right now for the Nets offseason from a Net fan? Like, you've had to watch the Knicks win a title. It's the worst possible scenario. Like, the picks you got last year for Bridges to this point haven't paid off. You got more coming up, but the Knicks are expected to be good once again. Like, what is the best case scenario for the Nets? I like the Randall move. I think it'll help raise their floor.
I don't see how Randall and Michael Porter Jr. can coexist. They both need the ball to be able to do what they do best. So I don't know who the offense is going to run through. But to answer your question, play-in tournament. Get me anywhere from 6 to 10 competent games in March and April. That's what Net fans want. They just want competency.
Well, I'll tell you what. They don't have their pick, as you mentioned. It should be about finally starting to win games and put a product on the court that is at least respectable, because the idea that you're just going to tank your way to glory, it's not happening. And now with the new rules that the NBA has put in place to try and limit teams being bad multiple years in a row on purpose, the Nets are just going to have to make shrewd moves like the Knicks did over 6 years, where Leon Rose took over a 31-win team, and 6 years later, without having a single player in their starting lineup they drafted, they're NBA champs. More on the Knicks and the Nets. Ian Begley, who covers both for SNY, is going to be stopping by. Will the Knicks actually stay under the second apron, and what does that mean for Mitchell Robinson and Landry Shamet? We get the latest from the most plugged-in Knick reporter out there. Ian Begley joins us next on the other side. Jake Asman in for Michael K. till 3 on 880 ESPN New York.
Save big on appliances. Right now, up to 40% off all the top brands during the July 4th sale at PC Richard & Son.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
New York City, get ready as Fanatics Fest returns to the Javits Center July 16th through the 19th, right in the middle of the biggest sports weekend of the summer. With more than 500 athletes and celebrities, every major league, and hundreds of thousands of fans for the ultimate sports fan experience. Get your exclusive merch, rare trading cards, free photo ops, and a full tailgate zone all weekend long. Grab your tickets before they're gone at fanaticsfest.com.
When I need a ride I can actually count on, I call Broadway Elite Limousine. It's who I use, and yeah, I'm not just partnering with anyone for my rides, because whether it's a night out, a trip to the airport, or a corporate event, or even getting a group where they need to go, Broadway Elite makes it easy for me, and they can do the same for you. Clean vehicles, professional drivers, and they're always buttoned up. That's why I trust Broadway Elite Limousine. Book your next ride at BroadwayElite.com. Broadway Elite Limousine, arrive like a pro.
If you're heading into summer without a medical emergency kit, you're taking a risk most people don't think about until it's too late. Summer colds linger and can turn into sinus infections that last for weeks. Getting sick right now before vacation can derail everything. And when you're traveling, finding a doctor and pharmacy is stressful. That's why I ordered a medical emergency kit. It's like having urgent care and a pharmacy right at home. It includes essential prescriptions like amoxicillin and generic Z-Pak to treat a wide range of common and serious illnesses. So if you wake up sick at home or on the road, you already have what you need. No waiting for your doctor, no hours at urgent care, no pharmacy lines, no copays. Just match your symptoms to the right prescription in your guidebook or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. Start on your meds sooner and feel better faster. Every home needs at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. And save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. That's promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46. And I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world is noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins Aeroburst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
The NBA draft is officially in the books, and all the attention here in Knick world is whether or not they'll be able to retain some of their own. Mitchell Robinson, Landry Shamet, Jordan Clarkson, among others. And for the latest on the Knicks, we say hello to the most plugged-in Knick reporter out there. Ian Begley from SNY joins us now. Ian, Jake Asman, thanks so much for a couple minutes today. Appreciate you hopping on.
Of course, Jake. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, Ian. The Knicks are world champions, and it's very weird to kind of be in this position as a Knicks fan, watching all these other teams make moves around the league, and all the commentators are saying, well, they're trying to catch up with the Knicks. So has it sunk in for you covering this team, that you're covering a team that just came off a championship?
Yeah, normally when I would report about the draft workouts, people get excited. Now I got a lot of who cares, it doesn't matter comments on the draft workout post. So it is a different vantage point for these Knicks fans.
It's surreal. In terms of the draft, before we go specific on some of their own free agents, how would you sum up what exactly the Knicks and Leon Rose in the front office were able to accomplish over the last 2 days?
Yeah, so the first-round pick that they traded out of, I think that was financial mostly, because what they're trying to do is they are trying to bring back as much as the roster as they can while remaining under the second apron, and that's a tough task. So if they had drafted a player in the first round, that would have added a certain amount of salary. So I think what they did was they tried to maximize the value of that first-round pick, turned it ultimately into multiple seconds and turned their second rounder into a different set of seconds. And so they netted out several second round picks. And also they drafted the two gentlemen that they drafted last night.
Have you thought about what the Knicks might do with their pick from the Suns in the second round in 2033, Ian?
I've been studying the 7th grade class, the 7th grade AAU class, and I'll get back to you.
No, we appreciate it. In terms of where they're at right now with the roster construction, you've been all over this, talking about how James Dolan made the comments on FAN right after the Knicks won that they're not gonna go into the second apron, and I've heard people say, well, he was just saying that, he wasn't really educated on what that actually entails. But correct me if I'm wrong, based on everything they've done to this point, it does feel like that's at least their goal right now. Is that fair?
Yes, it is. And I was one of those people. I was thinking, maybe he's referencing something different where, you get that repeater tax where you're in there 3 out of 5 years and it's very punitive. But no, this was a real thing. And he meant what he said in terms of not going into that second apron this offseason. And look, could things change? Could the Leon Rose and his group persuade James Dolan to go into that second apron to do X, Y, Z? Yeah, anything's possible. But that was the stance coming into the draft, and then you saw what happened, throughout the draft, and that kind of aligned with the idea that they're going to stay tucked under there.
So is it possible for the Knicks to retain Mitch and Landry while staying under the apron? Is there I know the Knicks have been very good with cap manipulation and figuring out different scenarios, but is it feasible in any way to actually keep those guys while staying under the second apron?
I don't think so, because I think you would have to shed a significant amount of team salary in order to do that. And when you're talking about shedding a significant amount of salary, you're talking about what? Trading a starter? Like, what are you going to do? So I think what it comes down to is it Mitchell Robinson or Landry Shamet? And in Robinson's case in particular, even if they did everything they could to offer Robinson the biggest contract possible while staying under the second apron, it still would be a pay cut. He'd be taking a pay cut from what he is earning, what he earned on his last deal. And, he's going to hit the open market, and there are teams with needs at center. And so I just would assume that he gets offers that are, well above what the Knicks can pay him if they stick to that second apron thing. And so, yeah, I think it's hard to see how they retain him based on the numbers.
Based on what you know, would he be open to a hometown discount to stay with the Knicks? I mean, the Knicks basically have created a plan for him, at least in the regular season, where they tried to keep him as healthy as possible, and that maybe is not the case if he goes to a different team.
I don't know. I mean, are you taking a hometown discount to stay where you are if the grass is greener somewhere else? I can't see it. Maybe to a degree, but I just think if he gets this offer that is far and above what the Knicks can give him, anybody would go. It's like the Hartenstein thing, not apples to apples, but similar in that the Knicks could only go to a certain amount, and Oklahoma City came over the top in a major way, and everybody would have taken that deal, even if they love New York. So I don't know if you take a hometown discount. I would assume, you're a professional. You want to get paid what you're worth. You want to get paid for your work. And, I think that's where it would sit.
Ian Begley is our guest, covers the Knicks for SNY, also covers the Nets as well. And check out Ian's Knicks show, The Putback, all on SNY's digital platforms. In terms of Mitchell Robinson and Landry Shamet, Ian, if the Knicks could only keep one in this scenario where they actually could go into the second apron and they could bring back one of these guys, do you think they'd lean with Mitch, or would they actually lean with Landry Shamet?
I don't know. I think the question you ask in that scenario is what backup center is available, either willing to take a minimum or a smaller contract, or what backup center is available via trade. And is that a backup center that, we think can keep us playing at the level that we established under Mitchell Robinson? Or you ask the reverse question about Landry Shamet. So I think that would factor in to a degree. And I can't speak for either of these guys in terms of what they're willing to do or not do. But I think if you clear out enough money, you have the chance to give Landry Shamet a significant raise. But similarly, like if he hits the open market, I just assume there's going to be a lot of interest in him based on how he played this past season. And look, the Knicks can offer, I believe, 5 years. So, they could offer the longest deal to either Robinson or Shamet. So maybe in a total money sense, maybe they can appeal to the players that way. But yeah, I don't know the answer to your question. I think it depends on what the market tells you.
Jose Alvarado, we know he has the player option. They moved the date of when he'd have to determine if he's picking that one up. Is there any news on his status with the team?
There is not. I mean, I could just say, based on conversations, I think they want him. I don't know about his desires. I would assume he wants to be here. And so if he declines that option, I think the Knicks would come to him with a multi-year agreement, and maybe they can figure that out. New York kid, won a championship here. Knicks really value what he did. But again, you're talking about this second apron issue. That's where it's going to kind of present itself, because you love Jose Alvarado, but you could only offer him so much while remaining under that second apron.
Ian Begley is our guest here on the Michael K. Show. Jake Asman in for Michael till 3. Ian, the Mohamed Diawara details of the contract, have those come out yet? Do you have any info on that? And how does bringing him back, what does that say about the Knicks' plans for some of these other potential free agents we've been discussing here in this conversation?
Sure. So, yeah, Diawara, they wanted to get that done. They didn't want to allow him to hit restricted free agency, because if he hit it, there were going to be teams that could come over the top well north of what the Knicks were able to offer. The Knicks, I believe it's going to be a 4-year deal. It could be 10.6, I think, and then a little bit above that, depending on where it starts, where it ends. But I believe they're going to use his non-bird rights to do that deal, so it wouldn't eat into any of the taxpayer exception that they would have to potentially lure another free agent. But yeah, to have him locked in based on how he played this past season, it seems like a good piece of business from the Knicks from my seat.
Has anyone been able to figure out why James Dolan doesn't want anything to do with the second apron? Because, again, I'm not a cap expert, but just trying to follow some of the penalties, it doesn't feel like the penalties are so extreme that it should prevent the Knicks from trying to keep together a team that just lost 3 total games in their playoff run to a title.
Look, I don't know. Is it a financial thing? Is it a strategic thing? Is it both? Obviously, because if it's just a financial thing, that would I'm sure disappoint the fans that ride with this team and are committed to going to these games and watching them on TV. And the fan would want to run it back or put yourself in the best position possible to repeat. So I could see how that wouldn't sit well. But I don't know. I don't know if fully. I can't report, I should say, because I don't have anything with certainty in terms of whether it's just James Dolan, collaborative thing. I don't know.
Was it weird to hear Leon Rose actually give an interview to, I guess, some form of media on the Roommates podcast with Brunson and Hart?
Yes, it was. It was. And look, I saw what he said about Mikal Bridges, and it's interesting only because that's how I'm sure, Jake, you looked at it, and that's how I looked at it in terms of Bridges not putting 5 picks. Sending 5 picks to Brooklyn for himself, or not signing himself to an extension. And I thought it was telling the way Leon Rose saw it the same way and said kind of, it's not Mikal's fault. And he hated seeing Mikal take a lot of flack for how things went over the last 2 years. So yeah, it was just interesting to see the team president, who almost never speaks, speak in that setting.
It's in terms of his answer on why the Knicks moved on from Tom Thibodeau, what he said was basically he was a great coach, but we felt like we needed a new voice to get us to the next level. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But in your reporting over the last year, does that back up what you heard as the reason why the Knicks made that controversial decision a year ago moving on from Tibbs?
I mean, I think that was part of it, and probably the biggest part. There were other elements there where, they used the word collaboration, and probably towards the end, they didn't feel like the collaboration was there with Tom Thibodeau. And, for better or worse, Tom Thibodeau wins a ton of games. He obviously brought the Knicks off the deck, out of the grave, so to speak, and built them up to the, right under the penthouse. And so you give him a lot of credit, but then you got to credit Rose and James Dolan and everybody over there for making a really controversial decision, because obviously it worked out in the way that they hoped it would.
No doubt. Ian, I'll get you out of here on this. Prediction time. When it's all said and done, are the Knicks able to bring back either Mitch, Landry Shamet, neither, both? Just what's your gut tell you here, your feel for how this potentially plays out?
I'm going to say one of them. I don't think they'll be able to do both. And I'm going to, if you want to guess one or the other, my guess would be Shamet, only because it's there's a path to it. And with Robinson, it's just there's a lot of different factors that would have to kind of fall into place. So if you want me to guess, that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing one. And if you want me to pick Shamet or Robinson, I would pick Shamet.
We appreciate the prediction. Plug the putback. I know you dropped an episode earlier today, right before I saw you were live. You hopped on with me. So tell the audience all about your latest episode there.
Yeah, you know what? We break the cap down, the second apron down entirely with my buddy Yossi Goslin, who does a great job with the cap. And so we got into the details of it, different scenarios. So, yeah, be sure to check that out on SNY's digital channels. And be sure to keep it locked into Jake, because he also knows what he's talking about.
I appreciate it, Ian. You're the man, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.
Sounds good, pal. Take care.
Ian Begley with us there. Good stuff from him. I mean, look, if the Knicks can keep one, I think you'll take it as a fan. Ideally, you keep both. Mitchell Robinson's an odd guy. I almost wonder, I'm not saying he's going to take like a gigantic hometown discount, but if the Knicks somehow could make it close, I think Mitch does see the value of being a Knick. He's made plenty of money. He's been here a long time. He knows that the regular season for him, the Knicks are going to do what's in his best interest of keeping him healthy for the playoffs. Now, the one thing we don't know, though, is are the Knicks internally upset at Mitchell Robinson for whatever happened that led to the hand injury he suffered right before the finals? They won the championship, so all is forgotten. But people don't forget in that front office or the coaches. Like, it's that, do they maybe look at it like, look, we won a title. We got everything we possibly could get out of Mitchell Robinson. Let's just let him go if there's another team willing to make him a significantly greater offer than what we could put forth. How does that impact them? How does that impact their thought process in a potential Mitchell Robinson negotiation? I'd love to keep him. I love Mitch. There's a soft spot for being drafted by the team, longest tenured Knick. But he's a limited player, as we know. But what he does well helps you win a championship, as evidenced by the team winning a championship. Game time brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's telly time. 7:10, the Mets, they close out their series with the Cubs at Citi Field. Coverage begins at 6:30 right here on 880 ESPN. 7:10, Yankees are in Boston to take on the Red Sox. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. Quick break. We'll come back and end with some of your calls. 800-919-3776. Baseball, basketball, all on the table. Keep it right here. Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
Here on 880 ESPN New York.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world is noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins Aeroburst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game, because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel Super Sub, if your player is subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right, if your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started now. All through this tournament, the betting options on FanDuel bring you straight onto the pitch. Who will score the first goal? How many shots will each team have during the match? It's all right there in the app. And with same-game parlays, you have a chance for bigger payouts. And best of all, with FanDuel, you get paid instantly when you win. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Caught with a gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Rich Eisen here. Running a small business means every hire matters. A bad hire costs time and money, but the right one helps your business grow. The challenge? Finding that person without sorting through resumes. That's where LinkedIn Hiring Pro comes in. It screens candidates so you can focus on conversations with qualified talent. With Hiring Pro, you can hire with confidence and build the team you need. Join the 2.7 million small businesses using LinkedIn to hire. Get started by posting your job for free at linkedin.com/Eisen. Terms and conditions apply. When's the last time payroll was the easy part of your week? With Gusto, it can be. Gusto is the all-in-one platform designed to take the hassle out of managing your team, from payroll and compliance to hiring, onboarding, and more. With Gusto, you can get back 2 full days each month with all the time you've saved. Go to gusto.com today and learn why over 500,000 small businesses choose Gusto. That's GUSTO.com. Gusto.com.
Soccer fans, join Bart and Carlin today for a watch party presented by Rothenberg Pilsner. Watch the match between Germany and Ecuador at the Hoboken Beer Garden in Hoboken, New Jersey, starting at 4 p.m. Enjoy Pilsner perfection since 1872 from the first German Pilsner. Come out, grab a cold Rothenberg, and join the energy with ESPN New York. That's Bart and Carlin live at the Hoboken Beer Garden today. Brought to you by Rothenberg Pilsner.
Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
And the guy you hear yelling no Michael K is actually in studio with me right now. Don Greca joins me. Hello, Don.
I wanted to say hello. I was happy you were in.
Is your mic on? Hold on. Jolio's getting your mic on. Is he on?
Hello.
You're good now.
There we go. Hello, Don.
I saw that you were in and wanted to say hello. The only time I've seen you lately is at Stout. It's difficult to really get any hardcore conversations.
That's because you're getting mobbed by all the fans who want to say hello to you, Alan, Peter. Nice of Peter to come back in time for the latter stretch of the Knick playoff run there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was nice because unfortunately, when they were making his vacation, like, are the Knicks going to be in the final? That would be when the Knicks are in the finals, and you can understand people at that time. And this was in the beginning. I think he had the conversation with John about taking off when the Knicks were down 2-1 to Atlanta. So how many people at that particular point were thinking the Knicks were winning a title? And I remember at the time, it was a Friday because they had lost, I believe, Game 3 on a Thursday. And we were on Friday, and I said, I still think they're winning this series, but how are you going to convince me this team's winning a championship? Right. The way they lost those 2 games. And as it turned out, they clearly were good enough to win a championship. Only lost 1 game, the rest of the way. But still, I don't think it was on anybody's radar at that point going into Game 4 against the Atlanta Hawks that they were winning a title.
You know what has fascinated me the most, among many things with this Knick run? At the same time as they are as beloved of a team as we've seen in many, many years in this city, and will be that way, I'm sure, forever, it's also one of the most dominant runs we've ever seen from any team. I mean, they lost 1 game after the first round, after that Hawks series you're just referencing. I can't remember a team that is as beloved and as dominant at the same time that we've had, at least in recent New York sports history.
We talked about it, and when you say recent, this is going back 40 years ago. When the Giants won their first Super Bowl, you weren't born yet.
So the 86 team.
The 86 team just ran over everybody. They destroyed the 49ers. That was that 49-3. Rice fumbled the ball early, and the Giants just destroyed them. Shut out the Redskins 17-0, a dominant performance in the wind. And they won by 19 in the Super Bowl. They were down at half, but ended up winning the game 39-20. Should have been 40-20, but Allegre missed an extra point late in the game that didn't matter. That was a team that was done, but they were 14-2 during the regular season. They were expected to win the Super Bowl. This Knicks team was a 3 seed, down early in the first round. People thought they can go to the final, but not win 13 straight games and only lose 3 games the entire run. So I've seen dominant performances, but not as completely unexpected as that.
Was it as fun to be doing it every day with the Knicks being good? Because you were the first voice on the station. This station has been the home of the Knicks forever. And to see like the run kind of culminate with them actually winning their first title of 53 years. I know you didn't necessarily grow up a Knicks fan, but what was that experience like for you?
It was a combination of pride and envy. The envy part was it's not my team, and it wasn't something I was broadcasting for. I came close in 2014 when the Rangers lost in 5 to the Kings in the Stanley Cup Final. But the pride came from the fact that it's the first time we've had a team on our air win a championship. When we started in 2001, we were the home of the Islanders hockey and Army football. Those were our 2 things, okay? And the Islanders never made it out of the first round.
Happy anniversary to Rick, by the way. 26 years ago today, he was drafted number 1.
Oh, that picture too, man. Wow, he's so much bigger now than he was then, from like muscular wise. But we came. The Islanders made the playoffs for the first time in forever, 3 straight years, but didn't get out of the first round. Like I said, the Rangers came close. The Knicks had their moments, obviously the conference final last year. But we never were the home of a team that actually won a championship.
You had the Jets, the 2 runs with
the championship games, and I was at both of those championship games in Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. But I got to tell you, I never, even though they led at the half in the Indianapolis game and almost came back and won the Pittsburgh game, I never thought they would win the whole thing. But at the half of the Indianapolis game, I'm like, oh my God, they're half away.
I think it was 17-6 at halftime.
Yeah, and of course they had not that we were airing the game, but they had the lead against Denver too in '98.
Right,
and then the Pittsburgh started off so disastrously, and then they were able to turn around and basically it was that first down where Tomlin decided to throw the ball, and I remember like, oh my God,
you remember who caught it?
Was it Antonio Brown?
Rookie Antonio Brown on a 3rd and 6. And I don't know how you feel. That to me, if the Jets had gotten the stop with how well they were playing offensively in the second half, like Sanchez was, you can say whatever you want about him in the regular season, he was so good in those playoff runs, especially that game. I will go to my grave convinced that they ever got the ball back, they would have went down the field and won. Because that was that team that year. They had so many come from behind wins.
So just trying to go back, they lost to the Colts in 20. That was the 09 season.
2009 season. Yep.
So they would have played in the Super Bowl. I'm trying to remember.
That would have been the Saints. Drew Brees and the Saints.
Yeah, that would have been a tough one. And then especially everything that was around the Saints at that time. And then now you're looking at 2010, they would have played
Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
Their best chance to win a Super Bowl to me in my lifetime, if they had beaten Denver, they would have destroyed Atlanta.
I think they destroyed him in the regular season too.
That's the one where in Parcells, I know he had lost a Super Bowl to Brett Favre, but I felt so good that team was. I felt better about the '98 team winning a championship than I did '09 and 2010.
And here we are with a 15-year playoff drought. Unbelievable.
Playoff drought. And one winning season.
One, and they choked the last game of the year to when they could have made the playoffs, and they go 10-6. And
they made us do like a 4-hour post-game show that day. And Greg Buttle negotiated that they would buy us KFC because we were going to stay on later because we thought, it was either wrapping up an amazing run to the playoffs or a disastrous conclusion to the season. Ended up being the latter.
Pain.
Sorry.
Well, thank God for the Knicks.
Clock integrity. I blew it up for you. I'm sorry.
It's all you. I don't want to be blamed. I don't want to get on Allen's bad side, Peter, the whole thing. He's down the Greca. He's coming up next. An honor to fill in for the great Michael Kay. He is back tomorrow. I'm in for Carlin tomorrow with Bart, so tune in at 10. But Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg is coming up next right here on 880 ESPN New York.
There are a million reasons to love New York. Making your budget stretch isn't one of them. According to an independent study, Amazon prices average 14% lower than other retailers. Get food, fashion, furniture, and more shipped straight to your building. That's how Prime members have saved over $2 billion on grocery and household items. Learn more at aboutamazon.com.
Empower. Pete's back on the links with all new golf clubs and hopefully less swearing.
Dang, sliced it.
He worked with Empower to help him get good at money so he can be a little bad.
Heads up!
Oof. Talent sold separately.
Guy said these were slice proof.
At least he has money for lessons. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Harry Douglas here to tell you about Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots. It's a fruity candy flavor explosion, and I mean explosion. Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots, a zero sugar treat that's sweet tooth approved. These can take care of my candy cravings and provides a tasty caffeine kick without all the sugar. Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get candy flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon.
Congratulations to the New York Knicks. They are the 2026 NBA champions. WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
D'Agostino, Law, Bite Back. This is John D'Agostino from D'Agostino & Associates, and I know how a serious accident can change your life just like that.
I'm Jenna D'Agostino, and I understand that with pain comes medical bills and time out of work. Let us get you justice.
This is John Ryan, the closer. For over 35 years, our family has been getting accident victims every dollar they deserve.
I started this firm for the injured so they can bite back against the insurance companies.
Our legacy is to get you justice. Bite back.
To get you paid, bite back.
At D'Agostino & Associates, bite back means fight back. When you're hurt and they blame you, we bite back and get you every dollar you deserve. We have offices throughout New York and New Jersey, so call us first at 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222. 1-800-248-3222. I've been there, and I'll be there for you.
Hey, New York and New Jersey,